The Soldier, Part 1. The Dream. I can still hear the screams of men, gunfire. I can smell their fear. They know something is in the dark, something strange, something menacing, and something very, very hungry. I wake up trembling in a cold sweat, sheets tangled around my legs. I look across the bed to the nightstand. The green LED lights are telling me that it's 4:30 a.m. It was that dream again. The same dream. I glance reproachfully at the remains of a fifth of whiskey and a half-empty bottle of sleeping pills laying on its side by the clock. They've never kept the nightmare from me before, but I still have hope that it's just a question of finding the right quantity and mixture. My hands are still slightly shaking. I grab the bottle and take a healthy swallow. Then I drop it to the puke green colored carpeting that passes for decoration in my room. It burns, but it's just fine. Knowing I'll never get back to sleep, and with only about 30 minutes before I had my alarm set to wake me up anyway, I throw coffee on and I jump in the shower. It's cold, but it's fine too. I stand there, my arms bracing me against the wall, head bowed under the frigid stream of water, and I try to forget. I stay like that for several minutes. Finally, my skin is practically blue. I get out and I towel off, shivering from the chill. My name is Michael Landry, and today I'm a high school history teacher at the Haverbrook Prep School, main line outside of Philadelphia. The shower is just what I needed. Already, the vivid horrors of my dream have begun to slowly fade back into my subconscious. I know all too well that they'll be back in full force when I finally manage to drift off to sleep tonight. But even this slight reprieve is welcome. I look into the mirror and decide that the dark bags under my eyes can be attributed as much to a genuine lack of sleep as my ill-advised bender. I quickly run a razor over the rough stubble of my beard and attempt to tame the brown mop of hair still sticking up at odd angles. Not that long ago, I would have been reprimanded if it was half this length. I return to the bedroom and get dressed. Gray slacks and a gray button-down shirt. It's become my unofficial teaching uniform. I've worn one uniform or another most of my life, and consider it shameful to waste time to spend too much effort worrying about what I'm going to wear. Moving into the kitchen, I decide to take advantage of my unexpected time this morning and scramble up some ham and eggs to complete my coffee. I note that, besides the few remaining eggs and a half-eaten package of assorted lunch meat, my refrigerator is bare, not counting a 3-day expired carton of milk and 2 cases of beer. I grimace at the trash sitting next to the refrigerator, currently overflowing with empty takeout containers. Slapping my egg and meat concoction in between 2 slices of only kinda stale bread, I throw on my black pea coat to ward off the chill November air, grab my thermos, throw yesterday's graded quizzes into my valet, and I head to the door. Gripping the coffee and valet under my arms and the sandwich in my mouth, I punch in the 6-digit security code to my state-of-the-art security system. I step outside and fumble with my keys, working 3 separate deadbolts securing the giant steel slab that serves as the front door to my first-floor apartment. Now, all these extra precautions might seem a bit much, but Overbrook makes up for its insanely cheap rent with an even more astounding crime and murder rate. With that in mind, I probably would have considered upgrading my security anyway, even if the events from 3 years ago didn't show me exactly how many scary things exist in this world. This experience is also what prompted me to start carrying the tiny Glock I currently keep concealed in my ankle holster. I'm on good terms with Gabe Parr, the aging head of security at the school, who generally shares my thoughts and opinions on gun control. Make sure you're in control of the gun. Gabe had been enlisted 20 years in the Army, just missing the tail end of Vietnam, and retiring as a master sergeant following the First Gulf War. Sounding like a cross between Sam Elliott and Ernie McDermott, he is all NCO. Crusty, hard-bitten, and essentially every platoon sergeant I've ever known rolled into one. Even after finding out that Haverbrook had no weapon searches to speak of, I revealed to Gabe that I carried shortly after I started the job. I reasoned that his position would make him the most likely to find out I ever had a gun during the course of any normal workday. To my surprise, he was completely supportive. I would later learn some of the circumstances behind Gabe's enlightened opinions. On one occasion, we had gone out for drinks. He confided in me that his youngest son, Billy, had been killed 2 years earlier. His boy had been 16, carrying $5 on the way home from evening basketball practice. He was approached by a strung-out junkie just looking to get some quick cash. The lone witness to the crime said the druggie took the money, then, apparently angry that his efforts had been wasted, shot the kid out of spite. Unfortunately, the witness had been unable to clearly identify any of the features in the gathering dark. The murderer was never caught. Suddenly, Gabe's unique perspective became very crystal clear. The walk from the station to Haverbrook is a short one. I find myself walking past a large asphalt parking lot and up a wide cemented path to the main entrance, just a few minutes past 6. The entire building is a study in architectural extravagance. Enormous granite archways, steepled turrets, literal tons of red-brown bricks make up the whole gala. Resembles more of a exclusive post-grad university than a college prep school. The official seal is carved into the peak of the entryway arch. Its motto, Mens Corpus Animus, proudly emblazoned beneath. I spot Gabe as I pass through the archway into the entry hall. He's manning the door by himself, as he does every morning. During my first year, I asked him why. Mike, he told me, I man the front because when shit hits, I want it to go through me first. 20 years in, through more action than I can remember, ain't nothing in this world that can walk through that door that I ain't fought, fucked, or blown up more than twice. So while a greenhorn busy pissing himself, I've already drawn and put 10 rounds in the motherfucker's center mass. Can't really argue with his logic. Morning, Gabe. How's it going? Nah, not so bad, Mike. Only sorta wanted to gnaw through my arm at the elbow when I woke up and I saw wife number 3 this morning. Still a marked improvement over the last one. He spits into the used styrofoam cup he has perpetually in hand, a huge wad of tobacco wedged in his lower lip. Good to hear. Still on for hitting the bar tonight? Depends. You still drinking that Yingling bullshit? You know it. When are you gonna give that shit up and move to a real American beer, like Bud? Gabe, we've been over this like 100 times. Yingling is American. It's brewed in Pennsylvania. Hey, not that I care, but didn't the dean tell you not to dip on the job anymore? Sure did, and I don't. Just don't any less either. I'll pick you up at 9. After receiving my discharge from the Army, I got in a pretty bad way. Chronic alcohol abuse will do that to you. I applied to Haverbrook in response to a notice that they were looking for a social studies teacher specializing in military history. I figured dropping my name into that particular hat couldn't hurt. Imagine my surprise when the school not only asked me in for an interview a couple of days later, but ended the interview by offering me a job. Fortunately, riding only a slight buzz at the time, I had enough control of myself to take it. Apparently, the school board saw West Point graduate and overseas combat experience as enough to move me ahead of a dozen or so certified academics I was in direct competition with. 2 older board members with prior service experience made a case for hiring me to the other 8, stating that nobody was better qualified to teach military history than someone who had actually seen combat. They argued competent professional educators would always be available. Worst case scenario, the board could fire me after a semester and hire one of them. I won't say that the Haverbrook job was exactly what I needed to get my life on track. It is just a job. Albeit one with a pretty good salary and better benefits, it serves two purposes: pay the rent and keep me in booze. That's all. I won't say the one simple act of getting a job maybe get along with my landlord made my nightmares disappear or the world a better place and everyone in it. It didn't. My landlord, Mr. Peacumby, was still a prick, which I attribute to a gratuitous level of inbreeding. My dreams have only gotten worse, more horrifying with each retelling. And my men are still dead. Officially founded in the early 1900s, Haverbrook can actually claim history back to pre-revolutionary times, when a one-room schoolhouse stood on the very spot. The first tiny structure only occupied one small corner of the grounds allotted to the school, which actually encompasses almost 20 square miles of rolling wooded terrain. The athletic compound is by far my favorite building at Haverbrook, specifically because one of the many perks associated with being a faculty member is unrestricted to any and all of the equipment at the facilities. Since I no longer have 2 hours a day physical training scheduled into my day by the government, this fact alone has allowed me to stave off the approaching effects of middle age. Today is the last day of school before Thanksgiving break, so I decide to go for a run after class lets out. It's the perfect type of weather for it. Mid-50s, no breeze. Just enough warm to not have a cold start, and just cool enough to not easily overheat. The main gymnasium contains a locker room for faculty use, which has a small bank of washers and dryers. Such amenities are convenient, means I don't have to constantly be transporting workout clothes back and forth on the train. The distance starts to melt away as the ground speeds beneath my feet. Most days I try to put in 5 or 6 miles on the winding forest paths, and there are enough of them that I only need to repeat the same route every few weeks. Today is one of the more difficult trails I frequent. 5¼ miles of almost constant elevation change. About halfway through the run, my legs are burning, and I feel my breath shortening as I reach the top of a particularly brutal hill. I pause at the summit for a moment to take a look back and appreciate the view. Vast acres of untamed wilderness stretch behind me. The crisp snap to the air makes everything seem somehow sharper. But in doing so, it only accentuates the gray deadness that has insidiously leached into every aspect of the environment. Hazy, translucent clouds rise in front of a pale sun that seems to be a shadow of its former self. It's very early in the day now, and the shadows are already long. The deciduous trees that blaze like a campfire in the autumn rise up below me, are now eerily foreboding in their stark nakedness. The faintest hint of wind stirs the branches. Its passing causes the trees to sway and groan with almost a malicious intent. I feel a shiver trickle down my spine that it's got nothing to do with the weather. These woods are from the darkest fairy tales. These woods, these are the ones that are alive. Only the distant 3rd floor of the Haverbrook Library is just barely peeking over the treetops, and that serves as proof that I haven't been unwittingly transported through some kind of magical doorway into a land populated by creatures, terrible and unknown. Unbidden, my thoughts return to memories of another time, another darkness, and the things that I found there. Disturbed, I start running again, faster than before, the sun slipping closer to the horizon. I descend from my vantage point back into the trees. The darkness grows rapidly deeper, and the shadows are growing thicker. Can't be right. Even in winter, the sun doesn't set this quickly, does it? Appearing out of nowhere, Thick black storm clouds have replaced the wispy grayness that I observed only a few moments ago. Deep peals of thunder ride wicked through the seething black seas above me. The wind, once faint, only a whisper, has become a tormented scream, the death cry of a wild beast. The trees no longer gently swayed, but they thrashed and bucked wildly as if they were trying to uproot themselves from the very earth that held them. Massive sheets of icy rain began to pelt down from the heavens, soaking me through the bone. Instantaneously, a mild afternoon had been replaced by a savage tempest. I fly down the hill, the storm raging all about me. Branches seem to reach out and snatch at my arms. Roots and stones rise up and tangle my feet. Suddenly, an incredible blast of pain ignites my right shoulder, sending stars shooting across my eyes. I cry out, tumble to the ground. As I roll, a jagged stump appears in my vision. Too fast to avoid. Pain. Blackness. Hey guys, I know it's been a little while, and I am very, very excited to bring you this story. This is just part one of a multi-part series that I think that you guys are genuinely going to enjoy. This one is by Shadow Swimmer 77 over on the Creepypasta wiki, and I have made the decision to put a lot more time and effort into this channel and only do the creepypastas as a holiday thing, kind of like that, at least for now. That's going to be my effort going forward because I genuinely enjoy doing these narrations a lot, and I feel like this is more of the content I want to put out. So I hope you enjoy it. Please like it, share it out, and look out for part 2 here in a few days. Thank you.